Welcome to a special painting demonstration on the art journey. In this demonstration, I am going to paint a river. And so it'll have all of the fun of painting moving water, but also I want to show you how to use a tetrad, color harmony, and apply it to the landscape. So before we actually start mixing paint, I have this special bit of bonus content for all of you who are watching the recording. So, for all of those of you who are watching right now, thank you. Let's get started. This is our source, and in just a second, I'm going to explain why I chose the Tetrad color harmony. But before that, I want to show you a few paintings by the masters to help explain what a tetrad. You may remember from a previous demonstration that a triad you can find using the color wheel, and here I have a 12-step color wheel. You can find a triad with a triangle, just a perfect triangle here, and any way you turn this, let me do this just so you can see it happen. Any way you turn this, it's going to give you a new triad, right? And the more color wheel, the more steps you have, the more fine-tuned you can get. And of course, you can go all the way back up to just, incredibly basic, the primaries and the secondary colors here. And we're still able to find these triads. Okay, so there you have triads, but we've already talked about triads. Now we're talking about tetrads. Tetrads are like triads, we can find them using a square, right? So another geometric shape here. And so this is an example of a tetrad. We have orange and blue, green and red. One thing that I want you to note here is that they are at 90 degrees to each other. So directly, you have complements that are 90 degrees to each other. So that's why the square functions really well. Let me just show you exactly what I mean in case there is any confusion there. This complement, it's a 90-degree X across, or it should be 90 degrees. I have to bend it a little bit like this. There we go. So green to red, orange to blue, 90 degrees here across. And we can see that with that square. Okay, so now that I've explained that, let me show you a few paintings that were made utilizing this color harmony. So first of all, let's bring up Winslow Homer, right? So great painting here. And I'm going to increase the number of steps on our color wheel because I think it'll be easier to see what we're doing here. Let's go up to, I think I can show it clearly enough here, but let's start here. Okay, so this is the 18-step color wheel. And I'm just going to turn this so I can start to see the different colors. Yeah, there we go. So right away, I just turned my square toward this green in here, right? And so here we go. Let me just pull this green out. There we go. Where does it belong? It belongs right in here, right in there. Maybe, actually it looks more like that. Well, it's a very gray version of one of these. Let me just get a few more colors out of here before I say definitely. Yeah, that's more green. That's more blue. He's really staying very close to the borderline between these two. I'm not going to increase the steps because I think it's just going to overcomplicate things. But yeah, I'm seeing this blue-green right in here, and maybe we could take this square and just turn it a little bit more this way. That actually I think is going to be perfect. Let's make it right on with that. So I'm seeing this blue-green here, and definitely seeing that color, but that's not enough to defend the fact that I think he's using a tetrad. What about if that's one of the colors on the tetrad, then we would need to see some of these too, right? And well, I think we do. Look at this. These blue violets, right? These colors that he definitely is bending those shadows toward. There's some up here even. Look at that, right? And but I think the purest of them are there. So definitely not as dominant as these blue greens, but these blue violets, they're here, right in the front, particularly. That's where I see them. Okay, so what about red? Or this is actually orange or red orange right in here. Uh, that we're seeing a lot more of, right? Definitely, he's painted it into the water. It's a gray version, but definitely have that in this painting, that red orange, even in the man's flesh tones, right? So that's one part of the triad. Notice how he's keeping everything together. We have these, right? Look at that. We have these warms, and then we have that green, that cool green again, right? That's right over here. Also, I mentioned the blue violet, but look at this in the sky, right? That's really close to a blue violet too. That gray, even though it is very gray. Now, what about this orange? Well, that is this up in here. It's the gray version of that, but that yellow, orange, gray up in there definitely belongs to that side of the color wheel. So you can see that Winslow Homer here has used the tetrad to compose the colors in this scene. And just look at how close he's staying in here, right? So there's a little bit of play, right? So in some of these oranges, I think he's going, well, yeah, I say that, but then not really. He's still really close. Maybe in some of these, well, he's, I keep saying, because it looks so orangey red in these purple fields here, but every time I put it up on the color wheel, he's really sticking close to that tetrad. So yes, he's using a tetrad here, and this is a good example of a very natural feeling painting, but you can see how tight his harmony really is. This is our most extreme color version here. Okay, so purple, right? See some really strong purples in here. And, we get even some darker ones in here. That down there. Yellow, right? Although I actually think, yeah, now that I've got these colors out, I think that these yellows could be moving a little more towards orange, and those blues could be moving a little more towards violet. I just think that's more in keeping with what we have here. And then, so these are just going to move over here. So that makes sense. And then some really gray and dark aqua color over here. It just, it's really gray, but it's not a purple. It's more, it's leaving that, yeah, it's really gray, but it's still, I say, if you made it if you lighten it up a lot, if you added a lot of white, you'd have something like that, something on that side of the color wheel, really subtle. Then you have these, of course, very fiery red orange colors in here. And so I do see a little bit of play here. So it's definitely kind of a group of those right in there. But you can see how he's using this basic scheme to show him he can how he can make this color harmony really loud and really strong, and which colors to push. And if you've ever, looked at a sunset, there's a lot more colors than just four, right? Or four basic hues. But you can see how limiting his hues, he has harmony, and then he can really push those and have very vivid color. So I hope that helps explain what we're looking at and what we're doing here with tetrads.